everybody. What a wicked game they play with us. Hey, everyone. It is Wednesday night. Welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream. We are studentloanjustice.org. We are the oldest, largest, first, and only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. I hope everybody is doing well out there in the world tonight. A couple of announcements. Thanks to everyone who pitched in for the new SLJ van. We've raised enough to get the vehicle. We still need to raise a little bit more for travel and gas and stuff like that. If you go to the GoFundMe down there, you can see the link. Please pitch in, guys. We can't do this without you. It's always been true that this group has been hanging on financially by the skin of our teeth. So if you appreciate all that we've done, all that we're doing, all that we're poised to get done, just please help so I can shut up about it. And if you could donate to our regular thing too, that would also be just supremely helpful at the moment. We've got like $600 in outstanding bills that we let slide while we were fundraising for the van. So you understand. Please help. I'm also very pleased to announce that we continue to meet with legislators across the country, including today and on Friday, and I'm not sure about tomorrow. We may have something coming in tomorrow. We're very good at doing this, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely critical that we get into a phone or Zoom conference or whatever, some kind of a meeting with your elected officials. So your House rep and both of your senators. Only you can make this happen as a constituent. It's very hard. It's very difficult for us to just call them and say, hey, we want to talk to you. Really, the only way it's going to work is when you, as a constituent, call them yourself and say, hey, I want to talk about student loans and I want to bring in this student loan justice guy into the conversation. I've been sharpening this sword for 18 years, ladies and gentlemen. I think I pretty much can answer all the questions that could ever possibly be put to us. We make a very strong argument, guys, and that does us absolutely no good if I'm sitting here doing nothing. You know, the blade that we have is meant to be swung, and when you set them up, we will knock them down. You pick the fight, we'll throw the punches. So, but it all starts with you. So please help there. And that's really way more important than any donations or anything like that. Anyways, so please do that. I'm also very pleased to announce that we've gotten like 20 letters to the editor published at this point across the country. We're about to get another one published tomorrow, thanks to yours truly. Hopefully, knock on wood. But, you know, these letters to the editor are very easy to get done, guys. They're very easy to do. You can do it. Go to your local newspaper, go to the opinion section, or just Google your newspaper and letter to the editor or how to submit a letter to the editor. And they'll usually either have an online form that you type it into or an email address that you just send it to. So please, if you care about the student loan problem, and nobody's going to solve this problem for us, guys, in Washington, D.C., they're not going to solve this for us. It's got to come from us. If it doesn't start from the bottom up, it ain't never going to happen. That's the most important thing that we've learned over 18 years. 18 very long years of doing this. So just please do that. Okay, so tonight I want to talk about what to say to the haters. If you're watching us on Twitter, you know all about the haters. They're everywhere. Some of them are organic. Most of them, I think, at least half of them, I think, are probably not. I think a lot of them are paid operatives, and that's actually a big industry in the world these days. Paying people to fight for your viewpoint on Twitter and other social media. But there's a lot of haters out there, and I'm thankfully here to tell you that every single one of their points are ridiculous and nonsensical, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves for making them. So I'm not going to go over every single one here. And by the way, if you have any questions or comments, you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter live, by all means, throw your questions or comments out. And if I can see them, I will very, very gladly read them aloud on air and respond to them. And if there's any haters in our audience, have at it. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm going to show how ridiculous you are. So I'll go through some of the top line comments that we get from the haters all the time, and just give you a quick, easy answer, and maybe even point you to some links that will verify our points, which completely shut down their points, like conclusively, without any controversy that you can use. So we have a whole ton of Bitly links, and I'll take you through at least a few of those. So the number one thing that we hear the bad people say against us, it's almost always regarding student loan cancellation. And by the way, we're fighting for two things: bankruptcy and cancellation. We're fighting for bankruptcy harder, way harder than cancellation. It's way more important as a practical matter. If you want your loans canceled, we pretty much have to get the threat of bankruptcy, the leverage of bankruptcy returned. Not that many or maybe even anyone would have to file, but we've got to get our bankruptcy rights back. But anyways, what we hear from the haters all the time, number one is, why should my tax dollars pay for your college? And the answer to that is very simple. Number one, well, it's very simple. What I say to them is, don't flatter yourself and don't worry your pretty little head, because the student loan borrowers have repaid their debt. The federal government, the taxpayers, have made a killing on this loan scam, and the federal government has recouped every dollar that it ever lent out on these loans. The vast majority, maybe even all of the $1.6 trillion in federal student loan debt out there, it's essentially profit. It's over and above the amount that they originally lent out. Now, if you can name for me any other government agency anywhere, even around the world, that makes a profit on anything, I'd like to know about it. But there are none. They don't exist. There's no good reason for the government to be profiting on student loans. These loans have been weaponized. They've been stripped of all consumer protections, most notably bankruptcy, but also statute of limitations, truth in lending laws, and others. But the key answer there is, don't worry your pretty little head. The taxpayers will be fine. Every nickel of federally owned student loan debt could be canceled tomorrow without needing one dime from the Treasury, without adding one nickel to the national debt. You can't say that about PPP loans. You can't say that about any of most all of the other economic stimulus that we've seen through COVID, and even going back to 2008 with all the bank bailouts and the most recent bank bailout. Yeah, no money needed from Treasury, not even a nickel added to the national debt. And that's canceling every penny of federally owned student loan debt. It is by far and away the easiest way to stimulate the economy, the cheapest way to stimulate the economy. And on balance, the taxpayers are breaking about even. And by the way, even Donald Trump in 2015, right before he announced his run for president, was asking that question. He was saying, why is the federal government making money on student loans? Why should the federal government view student loans as a profit center? Like, the federal government doesn't view almost anything as a profit center except for tax revenue. So why should student loans be singled out as being some sort of an ATM machine for the federal government? That's not conservative. You know, conservatives claim to be for smaller government. Well, here we have the worst big government predatory loan monstrosity on earth. And no true conservative should be fighting for this. So, you know, we're firstly a nonpartisan group. We kind of hate both parties in different ways. The Democrats essentially pretend that they're our friends, but really they're our frenemies, and the Republicans are just straight up evil, by and large. So we have no love for either party. But if you go to our Medium platform, everything that I'm going to tell you tonight, there's an article written for that point. Like that answer that I just gave, if you go to our Medium platform, you can see at least, I think, 2 or 3 articles that say Biden's loan cancellation will cost the taxpayers nothing, or student loan cancellation will cost the taxpayers little or nothing. So that's number one. Another thing I hear the haters say all the time is, what about the people who paid their loans? What about the people who chose not to go to college because of the debt? What about the people who paid out of pocket for college and didn't take loans? And for all of those, I say, this is not their problem. For people who recently repaid their student loans, this is no longer their problem, and they should be glad to be done. The fact of the matter is, going forward, 85% of all student loan borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans. The loans will not be repaid. The loans will be canceled, whether through a clean, economically stimulative process like cancellation by executive order, or whether through a very messy and dystopian unwinding where we see suicides, social civil unrest, families ruined, and all sorts of social carnage across the country. The loans will be canceled. And I could also throw in, well, what do you say to, the last generation of slaves? What do you say to the 65-year-old slaves back in 1865 who spent their whole lives in bondage? Should we have never ended slavery because it wouldn't be fair to them? Should we have never introduced the polio vaccine because it would be unfair to those who perished from polio? There's also that argument. But this is not their problem. It's not the taxpayers' problem. It's not their problem. It's our problem. And quite frankly, they should mind their own business. And I'm gonna bring this up for you if I can find it. I probably shouldn't do this on the fly like this, but this is something fun. If you've exhausted all the answers with the haters and they just keep talking past you, first of all, I strongly recommend that you mute them. But right before you mute them, I would strongly suggest that you put this in front of their faces. And let me see, hopefully I can share my screen here. I would strongly suggest that you maybe put this in their face. And you can find this if you want. I can email it to you, but you can find this on our Twitter feed, by the way. Some people are literally paid operatives for the other side, and it does no good to waste your time and your emotional and your stress and your energy. It does you no good after a certain point to engage with trolls or paid operatives or whatever. So I like to say, welcome to my mute button, troll. And then I throw that at them. And then that is all I ever hear from them again, even if they keep talking. So there's that. There's also the people who say student loan cancellation will benefit the wealthy. And to them, I say that's fucking bullshit. Pardon my French. I do say that actually sometimes verbatim. But that is absolutely completely wrong and asinine. First of all, wealthy people don't get student loans. Second of all, 85% of all student loan borrowers were underwater before the pandemic, and wealthy people don't get behind on their student loans, the last I checked. Third of all, the large majority, like 70% of all student loan borrowers, are in the bottom 80% of income, the bottom 4 quintiles of the income gap. Now, you contrast that with PPP loans, for example. These are other loans that don't need to be repaid to the federal government. 75% of PPP loans went to the highest quintile of earners. In other words, people earning more than $100,000 per year. And not only that, if you're wealthy, you cannot get a student loan. There's means tests. It's what the FAFSA is all about. It's a means test. Wealthy people cannot get federal student loans, period. That's it. End of story. You can say that as well. And, in general, I maybe also would add to that point that, even the well-to-do student loan borrowers, the successful, the doctors got a great job out of college or whatever. Even the people, the tiny fraction of all borrowers, like less than 15%, even those people, they tend to refinance their loans with companies like SoFi or other private banks. And so they take their loans out of the federal program. So they're not affected one way or the other by loan cancellation. That tends to be true. But all of that stuff I sum up in a bit.ly article, and you can see it for yourself, bit.ly, bit.ly / won't help rich. Another thing people like to say is canceling student loans will cause inflation. And again, that's completely, absolutely provably wrong. The inflation that we're living under right now has cost the average student loan borrower $500 a month. Whereas the average student loan payment before the pandemic pause was something like $400 a month. So the inflation that we're living under right now has eaten up every spare nickel that borrowers were saving and are saving because of the pandemic pause. So canceling these loans won't change the fact that the people aren't paying. They just won't pay forever. And that's not going to have any effect one way or the other on inflation more than it's already been baked into the cake years ago. And again, there's a bit.ly article for that. Bit.ly, bit.ly / won't cause inflation. No apostrophe. So those are the main hater comments that I see most all the time. I also hear people a lot saying, "Oh, well, you're just stupid. You made a bad choice. You're a deadbeat. You should have read the contract. Nobody put a gun to your head to sign for your student loans. You knew what you were getting into." And again, that's completely false. Student loan borrowers are never made aware that bankruptcy protections are essentially gone from the loans. Student loan borrowers are never made aware that statutes of limitations, which exist for pretty much all other loans, don't exist for student loans. Those two omissions right there are sufficient to call into very serious question the validity of the contract. We did not know what we were signing. We trusted our colleges, as 18-year-old kids do, as young people do. And frankly, what I love to say to those people is, shame on you. You fight for the colleges. You're fighting for the worst big government lending scam in U.S. history. And I say to them, because almost always they think of themselves as being conservatives. I say, what I say is, I ask them this question. I say, do the colleges pay you to fight for their loan scam? Do the colleges pay you to fight for their cash cow that's wrecking this country, including mostly Republicans and independents, and especially in red states like Texas, Florida, North South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, red states? And I almost always finish that with, in all caps, turn in your conservative card. You done lost that, chief. And there's another very, very good article that I end that one with, and that is bit.ly, bit.ly / for Republicans. As I said, guys, we're a fiercely nonpartisan group. We can't stand either party, but the Republicans, they are against us. They're certainly strongly against loan cancellation. Bankruptcy is a little different deal. We've got a little daylight there, but with Republicans. But yeah, bit.ly / for Republicans, all one word, lowercase. And I also like to say, hear it from Tucker Carlson, because Tucker Carlson is on our side, by the way. Maybe not on cancellation necessarily, but certainly on bankruptcy. And there's a seminal interview that he did on Fox News quite a few years ago now. But he's saying, if you don't want the colleges to take over this country and socialism and all that stuff, we all should be fighting for Wayne Johnson. Wayne Johnson is the Trump appointee who ran the federal lending program, and he's the very first guy to call for widespread student loan cancellation. He also is calling for bankruptcy to student loans. Anyways, this is a very strong interview on Fox News with Tucker Carlson. So there's a bit.ly link for that. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/hear it from Tucker, all one word. Very, very, very strong. If the people that you're coming up against are actual normal people who have been fooled by the media, they will look at that and they will probably not get back to you because it will change their minds. Or if they're good people, they'll say, wow, I had no idea. Okay, I have to rethink this whole thing. Thank you. And all true, honest conservatives that I come up against, that is nearly 100% of the time how that conversation ends. Wow. Ooh, I didn't know. Yeah. When you put it like that. Because here's what the bad guys are doing, guys. They're conflating us with the colleges. They're lumping us all in this blue-haired liberal basket, and that's just not true. And by the way, if you're liberal, you're absolutely welcome in this group. Whether you're conservative, liberal, doesn't matter. We love you. We're glad that you're here. But they like to portray us as liberals so that they can make this a partisan divide with the red hats and the blue hats and the black hats and the white hats. That's what they want to do. And the thing that scares our opposition the most is when we finally see the truth, and that is that over half of student loan borrowers are either Republican or independent. Over half of student loan borrowers are over 35 years old, not under. We're not young young liberal, entitled, blue-haired snowflakes necessarily. There's a few of those, obviously, but we're a very fair cross section, no matter how you want to slice it, except for maybe by income. We're a very accurate and representative cross section of this country as a whole, and that's true. So yeah. Okay. I'm looking for your questions and comments right now. Sorry to be lagging. This really is a wicked game that we're in, though, guys. And I'm very, very gladly read them all. I'm sorry that you have to be caught up with it in it. It's not my fault. I swear to you, I've been fighting with every ounce of my energy for 18 years now. And the politics in this country are just broken and poisoned. And that's just true. And this is your battle. And I can't win this battle for you. And I see Gordon Wayne Watts here tonight, Joanna, others. They can't fight your battle for you. This is your student loan battle. Sorry if you're new to the group, but this is your problem and these are your loans. And none of the other groups anywhere are actually fighting this battle. The other groups that we've seen are playing politics with this thing. And they're like, yeah, Supreme Court passed Joe Biden's loan cancellation. Yeah, that's the most important thing in the universe. No, it's not. Biden's student loan cancellation is fucking lame and ridiculous in the first place. The entire lending system is failed. The entire lending system needs to be canceled and replaced. And if you waste all your energy with those other groups, you're going to get pimped, because that's what at least one of the other groups does. They're not fighting for you. The last thing they want to do is actually solve this problem. The first thing they want to do is make money off of your ass by consolidating your loans or signing you up with a debt coach or putting you through loan rehabilitation, which is just absolutely the most damaging and unwise thing that you could possibly do. They're trying to make money off of your ass, and they make their money on the back end from commissions, fees, otherwise, from the student loan industry. So forewarned is forearmed. I'm telling you guys, the other groups that one of the groups actually does deals with the collection industry. So anyways, we don't do any of that. All we do is tell the truth. I'm a defaulted student loan borrower. I'm a normal person. We don't have any secret revenue deals with any outside entities. We don't do shady, no wink, wink, nudge, nudge bullshit. We fight for us, which I fight for me. I fight for you. We fight only and absolutely for student loan borrowers. And that's the most important thing that you need to know about this group. It's always been true. But having said that, we don't have a staff. We don't have a Washington, D.C. office. We don't have a marketing department. We don't have any of those things. If we were a band, we'd be the Grateful Dead. It's a potluck, guys. You got to bring your own strength to this group, and that is the way this problem will be solved. Now, the other groups would love you to go and sit on your ass and eat popcorn, and they can pretend to be fighting for you, and then you do nothing, and you sit there and go, yeah, yay, go, 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 go. Here, I'll donate you some money or whatever. That's exactly the wrong thing to do if you actually want to solve this problem. This is a working, fighting group. And if you're not working and fighting with us, then you need to leave, honestly. If you're so lazy or you're so scared that you can't get your knuckles a little muddy, maybe a little bloody in this fight, then you need to go because we don't want you here. And unfortunately, you're bad karma. And I think people like Gordon and Joanna will tell you it feels very good to fight this fight because all we do is tell the truth. That's all we've ever done. So anyways, I'm looking at your comments now. I'm gonna try to get through them all. We'll see how that goes. In no particular order, I'm gonna go from the oldest to the newest. Hey, Gordon in Florida says, regarding Virginia Fox, please help me. So I don't know what that's all about. Virginia Fox is one of the worst people is the worst person in Congress. She's a congresswoman from the, I think, 3rd district in North Carolina. She's terrible. She's absolutely horrible. And anything that you can do to help Gordon, and you can look in the comments on our Facebook thing, we need to pile onto that woman. She ought to be ashamed of herself, what she has done to the good people of North Carolina. And I will get off my soapbox there because I could talk for quite a while about Virginia Fox. You know, you talk about the fox guarding the hen house. That's exactly what Virginia Fox is with her House Education and Workforce Committee. It's just disgusting, that woman. But yeah, and good on you, Gordon. You know, if we can even neutralize a woman like Virginia Fox, we've really done something good. Virginia Fox, among all others, being from North Carolina. North Carolina is one of the worst hit states in the country by most metrics. She and the entire legislative gang from North Carolina should be supporting us strongly in returning bankruptcy rights to student loans. And by the way, I know if you're new to the group, you're probably like, why does this guy keep talking about bankruptcy? I don't want to file for bankruptcy. I want my loans canceled. Yeah, I get that. No matter what you want to see happen with your student loans, we're not going to see anything good, anything meaningful until we get the leverage of bankruptcy returned to us. Very few people, maybe even no one, should actually even have to file. Just having the threat of bankruptcy back on our side, as it exists for all other loans, for all other borrowers, that is what is important. And that is what you should be fighting for if you're serious about wanting to actually, not fake, not pretend, solve the student loan problem. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy, but we've got to get that power back, as the Founding Fathers called for in the Constitution, by the way. Look it up, Article 1, Section 8. A lot of people don't know. In fact, I didn't know for quite a few years, even after starting studentloanjustice.org. I didn't realize that bankruptcy was actually mentioned by word. The word bankruptcy appears in the Constitution. I had no idea it does. It appears very prominently. The Founding Fathers call for it before they call for the power to raise an army and build a navy and declare a war and coin currency and create a judiciary and many other very important powers. The founders called for uniform bankruptcy laws ahead of all those things. Hey, Joanna's also with us tonight from Florida. Hey, Joanna. Joanna does our daily actions every single day, by the way. And let me just dial these in for you. We do daily actions, not every day, but we do daily actions maybe 3-4 times a week. You can see the link right there. If you're new to the group, it would behoove you and you would benefit greatly from doing maybe the past 2 weeks worth of our daily actions. You need a Twitter account. It's like very simple, very quick stuff. But if you do the past 2 weeks worth of our daily actions, you will see some of the articles that we've published. I think 1 or 2 or maybe 3. Read those articles. And anyways, doing those daily actions is a very excellent way to very quickly learn and become a very fine, fit, and fierce student loan justice warrior, or just a warrior for your own self. So Joanna says, good evening. Happy to hear about the new members. Welcome. We are in dire need of daily help. Like I just said, I am very elated about the van. Yes, thank you, the van. Pitch in for the van, please. I knew we would make it. Faith helps. Yeah, that's right. Actually, I was frankly stunned with how quickly we were able to raise the money needed to get the van. We still, I don't want to. We still need to raise a little bit to cover like gas and travel to actually fly far away from Wisconsin, the Rust Belt, where the cars are just shit. So fly to like Nashville maybe, or maybe Kentucky or something, and get a new van. But yeah, no, I was actually stunned that that people really rallied around us for that. So thank you. Thanks everybody. Hugely appreciated. Joanna says the haters will regret ever screwing with us, period. Yeah, that's right. You know, our enemies, the people making money from this loan scam, the longer they perpetuate this scam, the harder they are going to fall. At this point, the entire lending system is vanishing. I would say pretty much has already vanished into a mist of illegitimacy. Student loans are right now essentially one big national joke. You wonder why the Biden administration is so scared to turn these loans back on? It's because they know what's going to happen. Click, 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 click. Nothing's going to happen. People are not going to pay. And remember, nearly 2/3 of all borrowers were not paying before the pandemic. Come September 1st, or maybe before, depending on how the Supreme Court thing goes, come repayment time when they turn the loans back on, very few people, maybe even no one, will resume making payments on their loans. So what is that? What are we even talking about here, guys? The lending system is finished. It's done. It's toast. Tell a friend. In my humble opinion, it's not only unwise, but also, I'd say, deeply unpatriotic to ever pay any more money into this lending scam. And that's true. You know, this is a big government beast. It shouldn't be fed. Should not be fed. I'm sure all the other government agencies do a great job. They're a great steward of the taxpayers' money, and they serve the public as their mission calls for. The Department of Education, the Office of Federal Student Aid, has turned viciously against the citizens, and many years ago. In my humble opinion, the entire office should be shut down. Maybe even the Department of Education needs to be completely redone or something. But for sure, the Office of Federal Student Aid should be wiped away. And the longtime unelected, unappointed bureaucrats who have weaponized these loans against us, and who knows all the illegal things that they have done in the background with their friends, family, etc., they need to be investigated and prosecuted when appropriate. And I think it would be very appropriate in many, many, many cases. You know, I don't care who the Secretary of Education is. I don't care who the Undersecretary is. I don't care who the Chief Operating Officer, all the presidential appointees are who run the federal student loan program. It's the unelected, unappointed lifers in and around the Department of Education that have turned this thing into a weapon against the United States, against the United States citizens, against the people. And they need to be punished. They need to be punished for what they've done. And that's the truest thing I will say tonight. Gordon Wayne Watts says, correct, most loans won't be repaid. The student loan borrowers have already repaid far more than borrowed, and they are dripped dry. They ain't repaying. You can't get blood from a turnip. Absolutely right. You know, for a long time, the Department of Education actually found a way to get blood from a stone. For a long time, many decades, the Department of Education was actually making a profit on defaulted student loans. Now, think about that. You know, a credit card company, if they get back even 10 cents on the dollar on a defaulted account, they're thrilled. Well, the Department of Education for years and decades has been getting back more than $1, like $1.15, $1.22, $1.10 on the dollar for defaulted student loans. That's a defining hallmark of a predatory lending system, by the way. That has been true up until before COVID. That will no longer be true going forward because the people are done. The people are done. The 60% of the people were done before the pandemic. How many people do you really think are going to pay when September 1st rolls around? I think probably 15% or less. So again, what do you even call that? It's called nothing. It's called air. It's called a failed lending system. That, but for the bad politics and the lack of spine in Washington, D.C., would have been taken to the bath and drowned in the tub many years ago. Joanna says, we all need to use all the links Alan Collins provided to shut each and every hater down. Put them all in their fucking place like they deserve. The haters know so much, they probably don't even pay their own bills on time. Yeah, it depends on the hater, but absolutely. They're very easily, they are very, very easily put down in public debate with nothing more than the truth and facts. Very easily put down. However, I need to balance that and just say, some of the haters out there, all they want to do is keep you talking. All they want to do is talk past you and keep making their false points again and again and again. This is not good for you. It's not good for your stress. It's not good for your emotion. It's no good for your energy. Don't let them sap your strength past a certain point. Now, you might imagine I get hit by the haters all the time on Twitter, and I will dispatch their points in as quick and efficient a way as I can. I will usually throw in a few insults, and then I will block them or mute them. And that's what I do. Don't let them string you out all night long because it will drive you crazy and it won't help. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help our side. So be smart about the haters. Gordon says, I got a neighbor to call Representative Laurel Lee in Florida. I believe she's new. Is that right? Asked for student loan bankruptcy legislation. She has 2 phone numbers. I would much rather, and that's great, Gordon, I applaud your efforts. I would like, whatever it takes. We stand at the ready to assist you in your efforts in speaking to legislators, because most people, they just don't know the student loan problem well enough to really speak strongly and efficiently and smartly about the problem. And who can blame you? Like, I think it's a very sad thing that I know so much about student loans. It's nothing to be proud of, nothing to brag about. But yeah, most people, they know very little about student loans except that they have them and they fucking suck. And I hope that you will learn our argument, but I would much rather, if you don't, that you bring us into your, and I know Gordon knows the argument, so I'm not going to, but I'd say to other people out there who maybe don't feel super confident making the argument, bring us into the conversation. We can do this. Like, my cell phone's always on me all during the day. I would love to be talking to 8-10 legislators every single day. And it doesn't have to be the congressman or woman. It doesn't have to be the senator. Their staff is absolutely fine. Their judiciary staff is the best, but any of their staff is fine. You can say you want to bring me on, Alan Collins, AlanCollinge, email Alan, ALAN, at studentloanjustice.org, phone number 202-594-1120. And I am ready to go to battle for you. As I said, if you pick the fight, I will throw the punches. I'm very good at doing this, and it does me no good to be sitting here doing nothing about that. I would much rather be talking to a congressional staffer on the phone. So, okay, guys, I'm sorry if I wasn't able to get all your comments tonight, but I've gone 40 minutes already, which is way longer than I like to go. But I hope you guys are encouraged and enthused. I hope you will finish our thing for the van out just so I can go and actually get the van. We will disappear without your very modest personal financial gifts. From you to me, I appreciate it greatly, and we will cease to exist if that doesn't happen. So I think this group is worth having around. Maybe one last thing I'll tell you is that we wouldn't even be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order today. The Biden thing in the Supreme Court, that would never have happened. But for the people on this group, I kid you not, we started the whole concept of canceling student loans by executive order. We launched that concept into the public conversation with our petition, like months and months before Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, almost anyone was talking about student loan cancellation by executive order. Very key twist there. That all started here. So this group, despite our appearances, is way more important than you might think. Similar for all the bankruptcy legislation that we've seen in the past 18 years, actually. But so too, again, for the forthcoming legislation that we, knock on wood, hope and expect to see fairly soon. It's not. I learned today, ladies and gentlemen, that the bankruptcy legislation that somebody else said was imminent, I'd say it's not imminent, and I don't care to share any details on that, but it's not quite as imminent as we were led to believe. So I'm hoping that we might see it in the next month or two, not the next week or two, as someone else said. But whatever, guys, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we need to be using all of our energies, not to be looking at other people claiming to be like, especially including me, who claim to be fighting this battle on your behalf. I can't fight your battle for you. Joanna can't fight your battle for you. Gordon cannot fight your battle for you. You've got to fight your own battle. These are your loans, and this is your problem. And sorry about the tough love, guys, but that's reality. Like it or lump it. If you actually want to see the student loan problem solved, you've got to get your own back into this fight. And I think Gordon and Joanna and many others would tell you it feels good to be fighting this fight. It actually does. I sleep very well at night because all day long, all I do is tell the truth. The important truths about student loans that needs to be heard. The founding fathers are on our side. 45 million, 50 million people in the country are on our side. But, the student loan thing is the camel's nose under the tent. If they can do to student loans, other loans, what they've done to student loans, they will. So this is a very, very important battle with massive, universal, countrywide ramifications that go well beyond simply student loans, guys. And we are indeed the tip of that spear in that battle. We are the front line. So I'm glad you found us. I hope you'll hang around. We need you fighting with us. I'll be back maybe tomorrow, definitely on Friday. Good luck. Godspeed. Do our daily actions. And God bless everyone. Let's make this game a little less wicked, shall we?